Hello, students. It's me again. I'm so sorry for having this unit divided into two parts. My computer died and completely forgot about it. And so I kind of am forced to do this in order to not interrupt the converting video process, right? So this is part two of unit two. Make sure that you watch both of them, okay? Again, deeply apologize for this because I don't think it's the most practical thing to do. But given the fact that this is kind of an emergency situation, we'll go with it. As I was saying, Anne Hutchinson is heavily criticized for being one of the very first feminists that we had in the United States. She argued that nearly all ministers in Massachusetts were guilty of faulty or false preaching, which is true, and that certain practices of the church were very derogatory and they were very, very prejudice based or prejudice driven against specific groups of people, right? Apparently she displayed a very unwomanly behavior, right? And apparently she, displayed a behavior that did not agree with most of the church leaders. She will eventually be taken to trial, but her impact is massive, right? I mean, she becomes an inspiration to many during colonial times, and she really brings a lot of awareness and attention and cognizance to social issues that are being actually created by the church itself. Anne Hutchinson, I feel, kind of paves the way into this alleged witchcraft that's taking place in Massachusetts. That, I mean, yes, this is driving us into the Salem witch trials, but I do want to make something clear. I mean, most witches, air quotes, who were executed in New England, including Massachusetts, it's not so much that they practice witchcraft, it's more like they were beyond childbearing age. They were women that decided to never have kids. There were women that were single and never decided to have a husband. And listen to this, especially, they were women who were economically independent and who could sustain themselves and who decided to live a very different kind of life that clearly defied or challenged traditional gender norms. And so, in order to kind of like um, dissipate or kind of placate that unwomanly, ungodly behavior, a series of trials were conducted in which many witches were executed, right? And the methods were very primitive, of course. The halfway covenant is an interesting practice that begins in the 1650s, where many Massachusetts residents who had been children of the original first Great Migration generation had been baptized as infants. And so the halfway covenant is basically this whole thing of, should we baptize the person later in life to where he or she can actually make the decision, right, to follow Christianity, or should we baptize them as infants, right? And so the halfway covenant allows for church membership to be based on baptism rather than on a grace of God requirement. And it deals a lot with generational, this whole idea that, well, my parent and my grandparent were Christian, they were Puritans, therefore I'm also saved, right? And it becomes this whole thing of, well, uh, to follow the path of God, it's personal decision, right? And so the New England economy is thriving in its own very different way. I know I've mentioned this before, but I want to say it again. Um, since New England lacks tobacco plantations, you don't have these plantations in Pennsylvania. You don't have them in Massachusetts. You don't have them in Rhode Island or Connecticut or Delaware or New York, right? Or Maine. They're going to start using fishing as their main source of income. There's going to be a few family owned farms who that are also going to help fostering a sense of economic growth. They're going to help tremendously. And then, interestingly enough, there's a lot of inheritance situations taking place in New England, whereas we don't see that as much in Virginia, in the Chesapeake colonies, or more in the South, right? And so that's kind of like what we have. Um, Interestingly enough, okay, and give me 1 second, please. Okay, I'm back. Interestingly enough, yeah, it's just the economies work very well. And so this is some foreshadowing. This is how you can kind of begin to understand how and why it was so easy for the North to say that slavery was wrong and immoral and inhumane, right? Their economy was simply not based on it, and why it was so easy for the South to say that it was, right? Because their economy was solely plantation based. So this is the end of the unit. Again, I do apologize because I noticed that this sort of second part that we made to it is basically like 5 or 7 minutes long, right? We were only missing like 3 more slides. I mean, the battery gave out in the worst possible moment, right? But please, I mean, if you do want that sense of closure for the unit, go ahead and watch this one as well. I'm gonna upload both of them to my YouTube channel, and then my YouTube channel link is available for you guys on Blackboard, right? Even it's both under the folder lecture videos, and it's also in the announcement that I made for you guys a few days ago. If you have further questions, please let me know. Remember that my office hours are Monday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you happen to need a separate individual time for me to meet with you on a one-to-one basis, I'm more than available and I'm more than happy to do so. Okay, so let me know so that I can make arrangements with you. Other than that, I mean, this is the end of Unit 2, but I do want to make an announcement, and I'm going to send it through Blackboard as well, but I want to make it here. Your exam, your first unit exam will be based on the first 2 units. I repeat, exam 1 will be based on the first 2 PowerPoints, and that exam will take place on next Sunday. And I believe next Sunday, if I check my calendar, just to be safe and to be sure that we are getting the correct dates, not Sunday, September 9th. That's when your first reading quiz takes place for chapter 1, right? So not Sunday, September 9th, but not Sunday, September 8th, excuse me, but Sunday, September 15th. So I repeat, Sunday, September 15th, you have your very first exam for both PowerPoints 1 and 2. Remember, reading assessments or reading quizzes are strictly based on chapters, and there's only a few specific chapters that you're doing for me, the ones that I feel you need. And then exams, unit exams are based on PowerPoints, on my lecture, on what I say, which is why these lecture videos are so valuable, right? I hope. I mean, they're helpful. They're supposed to help you. Again, that first exam will be on September 15th. It's a Sunday. That's when it's due. It doesn't mean that that's when I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna publish it either tomorrow or Friday, and I'm gonna leave it open for you guys. And it's gonna close on September 15th at 11:59 p.m. And so feel free to kind of go in and open it and do it whenever you feel ready. Of course, it's open notes, right? Yeah, I mean, exams are based on my lecture and quizzes are based on the chapter readings. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to make that announcement real quick. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for your time, and you guys have an amazing evening. Thank you so much again. I'll see you.